Happy New Year, Flosstube! My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch. If you are new, thank you so much for pressing play and giving my channel a try. I hope you like what you see. This one's a little different because I'm going to go through all of my current open projects, but I do film weekly as best as I can. Every once in a while I'm traveling, and it may end up being a different day, but I do my best to see you all and visit every week. So I hope you like it. I hope you hit subscribe and maybe join me on a weekly basis. And for all of my returning friends, thank you so much for watching me go through all my patterns. You will notice some of them that you've seen recently, some you haven't seen in quite some time, probably a good year. And there's one project that nobody has ever seen, because when I was going through some stuff, technical term stuff, in one area where I have some of the extra crafty stuff, I found a project that is probably almost 20 years old, and it is so close to finish. I don't know, well, I'll tell you about it in a minute. Close enough to finish. That will be the first one you'll get to see, but that's totally brand new and a surprise for everybody. Okay, so let's just do a quick talk here. In 2021, I don't keep a lot of stats. It's very low key. I had 64 starts and I had 40 finishes. So I did pretty good. If you are someone who has not seen a lot of my videos, I do a lot of smalls mixed in with larges. So that's why I'd have so many finishes, because I do get a decent number of smalls in. One order of business, I normally put my notes right in front so that when I'm looking at the notes, I can still see you. But I have 2.5 pages, 3 pages of notes. So I would have to be like pulling them off and everything else. And like how I do my color coding. Anyway, so I will be looking down just a little bit because I do want to make sure I give you all of the correct information. Plus, some of these I will be showing you on my iPad because they are digital pieces, and I don't print my digital pieces in color. So some of them I'll just show the black and white, but some I really want to give you that full experience with the colors. So I will also be doing quite a bit of showing you with that. I've got all my tabs up, so as long as I don't mess it up, I should be okay with that. How many projects? There are overall, I have 37 projects that I've currently started and are in some sort of state of being done. There's one that I'm not going to show you, and I'll talk about that when I get to that part, because I did everything chronologically, because it's in piecemeal and there's nothing to show you at the moment really. So I didn't bother pulling it out and trying to show you all of the piecemeal parts so far. So that will be the one that I don't show, but I have 36 others to show you. So we've got plenty to talk about. Other than that, I will do my best to give you as much detail as I can, whether it's type of fabric and who the fabric dyers are, in case you're of any interest, in the description box below. Don't worry about it right now while you're watching. In the description box below, I will list everything. I will list the designer, or wherever it's from, whatever shop, and whatever company, as well as any information on the fabric and who the fabric dyer might be if I used hand-dyed fabric, as well as best I can. I think there's one project I know I do not, for the life of me, I never wrote down the information of what I've done changing threads, which is kind of a problem now when I have to go back and stitch it. But everything else I think I have written down. So if I have changed threads in any way, because I use mostly DMC, I have not really ventured into the world of overdyed threads. So you'll see a lot of times where I've made a DMC substitution, or a color that didn't really work with whatever fabric I chose, I had to change it out that way too. Again, all of that information will be in the description box below, so that you can just sit back, stitch, have fun, and check out what I've got for projects. Alrighty, so the first project in my project parade is one that nobody has ever seen before. And this pattern, it is a copyright of 2002, and my guess is it probably is, when I started, it was 2002. I don't have any information written about information. written about it, but my guess is that's probably when I did it. The reason being, it's a stocking. So I'm pretty sure that I started this with the idea of stitching this for Megan. Megan was born in 2001. I had stopped stitching early. I started and stopped early to mid 90s, I'd say. Put it away. College, you know, I think certainly going away to grad school, I did not bring stitching, and I really got into stamping world and paper crafting when I was in grad school. So time came and went, and whatever words. And then Megan was born in 2001. So my guess is, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to stitch her up some stocking? Stitch her up a stocking. So I would have gone to Thistle Needleworks, for those of you in Connecticut. It's still there. It's just in a different town, probably about 20 minutes from where it used to be. I paid $5 for this lovely pattern that is on heavy cardstock and all. And it is called Snow Family Fun from Dimensions. And it was a stocking. Megan is 20 years old at this point. I am pretty sure it's not going to be a stocking anymore. So, ta-da! This is it. This is done, and my guess is, if I look at this, it's 14 count would be my guess. 14 count navy fabric. Certainly back then, I would have just grabbed whatever at Thistle when I bought the pattern, would be my guess, that I just had them cut me some fabric for it as well. And except for the words and some snowflakes, and there's like a little tassel-y thing here, this is done. This is done. The other thing, and I have to laugh, there was a needle stuck in it when I found this. I stopped mid-back stitch, so that's where this thread is. I'm not sure what happened and why I never picked it up again. I still have a decent amount of back stitch. That was the start of the back stitch. I must have been overwhelmed or something and said, nope, I'm not doing it. And ironically, this needle, it was actually over here. It was stuck in the fabric for 20 years. It's a bit tarnished, but I think because I have dark fabric, it didn't affect my fabric, thankfully. So here's my thought, and I want your ideas on this. What if I didn't make it a stocking? So this is what it looks like. What if I just did back stitch, which, hello, that's not always a ton of fun, so that may take me a while. What if I just back stitched it? Could I just make it, you know, into a piece that's just a regular piece? Do I have to make it into a stocking? What are your thoughts? Would it look silly? I mean, because I know you've got kind of that stocking look, but if I don't do that up there, would you be able to tell? So let me know. Give me your thoughts on that. But this is a 20-year project, and my oldest project that I have unfinished. And really the only one that. Back when I started back into cross stitch in 2019, I had one other that was really, really old. I don't know that old or not. And that was the first thing I finished. And it kind of got the bug back in for me to keep going with it. So, you know what? I'm not going to bother making noise putting these back. I will just throw them down. And when we're done, I will put them all back. Most of them are in Ziploc bags, so it's not exactly really high tech. Okay, the next one. I actually do think I took a, yes, I did. I took a picture, or didn't take a picture, but I have a picture of this. So that was 2002. We are now jumping to 2019. So in 2019, I would say late summer, mid to late summer, I got the stitchy bug again. I don't know why, but I think part of it was, that was the start of us thinking about the transition to Delaware, and we had rented this place, so I was back and forth, and I couldn't really stamp because it's tough to bring all of your supplies, but I wanted something crafty, and so I think that got me back into cross stitch, and I had that project that was partially finished, so I think I started back with that one. Anyway, I never really wrote down all of the information on starts and info on any of my 2019 starts, because I was really just new to it at that point, and it took me months to even find hand-dyed fabric. I didn't even know that was a thing. Finding floss tubes, finding all of that. So it's real basic, and that's why I have a issue potentially with this pattern that I might want to change. Anyway, this is called McChristmas, and it is from Cariad Cross Stitch. That's what it looks like. So cute, adorable. Now, what was interesting was this was my first foray into digital patterns. I just jumped right in. And I mean, honestly, he's got plaid. So think about all of that. And when I first started this, I didn't know about the loop start. So you can imagine the issues there. So back then, again, I didn't really know about hand-dyed fabrics. I used really white, ivory, black, navy, those types. You know, the big discovery was vintage country mocha. So he was started on just an ivory 18 count. This is 18 count. So this, at this point, I had graduated to 18 count. So, I mean, this is going to be the whole piece. This is where he is. I am really not loving this fabric, and I'm not necessarily loving him on it. He looks fine. The colors, they're fine. And, you know, you've got that shading so that the white does pop up. But it's not thrilling me. And that's why I would have shown you this last year, and then it sat. So I want to think about what I would love to see this on, throw the flosses onto it, and see if I would like to restart it. I know there's a lot of work here, but if I'm not loving it, I don't necessarily know if I want to put in, here's the black and white. I mean, I'm only here. I've got all of this to do yet. So I figure if I'm going to change, I want to cut my losses now and change. So I think that's my goal, is to find what color and think about what color I would like, and that would show him off to the best ability, and then throw the stuff on there and make the decision about that. So maybe that'll be a goal for me in 2022, and then maybe try to get it restarted. He's super cute though, and I enjoy the pattern. It's the only pattern I have from Cariad Cross Stitch. They have a Facebook page, and you know, she has all of the patterns that she's done charted there, and basically I think you send her a message and then she PayPal invoices you, if I remember correctly. I'll link her Facebook page below if you're interested in seeing. She has a series of other gnomes. I think McChristmas is the cutest, to be honest with you, but she has a huge variety of different things that she has charted. So it's just a fun look. You might find something you really like. So that was from 2019, and he is actually the only holdover from 2019. I have two pieces that I restarted in 2020. Not on new fabric, mind you, but I kind of just brought them back. I called them, I don't know, I think I did like Project Restart. I don't even remember what I called them. And that's why they're kind of farther down. Technically, they should probably be in the 2019 grouping, but they didn't end up there. So that's 2019. We've moved on to 2020. That's when I really took off with cross stitch. I started my Flosstube channel in February of 2020. So that also kind of propelled me into more and more stitches. Now, for 2020, I have most everything finished. This first one is from May, and it's Kringles, so you can see. This is from Little House Needleworks, and I am not doing, and part of why it sat for so long was, you know, I started up here. This is a heavy workload. There's a lot there, and I kind of got burnt out from it. And so the thought of the 3 stories kind of made me question whether or not I wanted to do this. So I made the executive decision, and I've seen other people, they've played around with things, they've changed the name, but I had seen it suggested that you pull out one of the floors. In rethinking at it, it kind of reinvigorated my idea about this pattern that I would like to stitch it. So I am only going to do 2 floors, not 3. And I will pull out 3 of the, I don't know which 3 I'm going to take out, but 3 of the window displays won't be available or won't be showing. And here I am. 18 count Artemis, I believe. Yes, from Bestitchme. So this is the first of many, many hand-dyed fabrics that you will see, although I do still use some, especially white aida, for certain patterns, depending on what they are. So there you go. And I am, like I said, I am working on this as a 2-story. This window here had been partially stitched, and I decided that it wasn't one of the it was going to be one of the 3 that I would get rid of. So every time I stitch this, I also take some time to pull some stuff out because it's taken me quite some time. It was stitched actually surprisingly tight, and I'm really worried about cutting because I would be devastated given all the other work that's gone in on this. I decided to keep it the name Kringles. And last time my very first stitch with me is, I believe, when I stitched on this. And I could totally see doing that again because I've got all that to stitch yet, and that would be perfect during a stitch with me. So that's Kringles from Little House Needlework. All right, so now the next several that you see will be all from 2020, and then we'll move forward from there. In the summertime, I remember I had started this one, Long May She Wave, from Stitching with the Housewives. Thought that one was really cute. I am changing it. You know me, I don't stitch chickens, so the chickens are out. I'll show you, I do have one thing that I changed so far with it. And here we go. This is stitched. Now it's a thin, I don't think I have any, I don't know if I can use the back side of one of these. I only have white cardstock everywhere, but not close enough for me to, there we go. That's good now. This is a 18 count, I believe it's navy blue, and it's from Garibaldi. This was one of the first places I went on Etsy, and I just looked up hand-dyed fabric. And this was actually Charles Craft. I hadn't really realized that there was a big difference between the Charles. Well, that's the eye of the beholder. There are differences between Charles Craft and Zweigart when it comes to the hand-dyed. And I started with the Charles Craft, which is fine. I prefer the Zweigart based ones. But I have some. I will use it when it's a color that goes with whatever. So it's just the way it is. But I thought this was pretty. I thought this navy really brought out the colors well. So you'll see here, there was a chicken. There's supposed to be a chicken down here on top of the flower. So what I did was I made the flower taller, I believe. Yes, this is supposed to be a really small, squat flower. So I made the flower taller. And then that, I think, affected where these, I think I might have changed how these sat. The only other thing, there's a chicken here. I'm going to stitch everything. And if it doesn't really look that empty, I'm going to go with it. And then everything else, I think I'm keeping. We'll see as I go along. But that's where we're on that. I brought that out. I think I brought that out last summer. It's kind of a good summer piece for me. And so a lot of times that's when I seem to stitch on it. Okay. Moving on because we've got a lot here. Okay, next one. This one is called Pretty Little Amsterdam. Recently, Helen D finished this. I remember seeing it on her Instagram. It looks fantastic. So she's lit the bug for me, lit the fire. So in 2022, I think I want to try to bring this out and get a finish because it's probably 2/3 done. And here it is. This is 18 count Nantucket Sky by Fabrics by Stephanie. I love this fabric. As I've said many times, for outdoor pieces, this fabric is beautiful. Because of that, I chose, I mean, it looks like you're in a series of clouds. I will stitch the sun. I made the conscious choice to not stitch the clouds, and I will not stitch them. So I have the sun up here and then everything just down here. So it's doable. There's a lot of color changes. She likes to change for Satsuma, but it's beautiful, fun colors. So that is a goal for me in 2022 to try to bring that one back out and maybe get a finish. I do have, and I'll talk about it in my next video on Friday. I think I picked 6 pieces that I would like to get 1 or 2 work time stitching sessions on during the month of January. And so I'll talk about those when I see you on Friday. And I'm not a huge, I'm not a huge goal setter when it comes to that. I just figured I would keep it loose. I picked 6 things in my mind that I would just like to stitch on a little bit. So more on that on my regular video. Next, okay, real quick. In between here, the next one I had started was Halloween calendar from Tiny Modernist. I'm not stitching it as one big piece. I'm taking each day, stitching it separately, and then I'm either going to put them in some sort of banner or put them on like a little tree or something like that. So I probably have, maybe 10, 12 of the individual days stitched. I'm using 4 different colors of fabric to make them different each day, especially if I do a banner. I've got it very deliberate how I'm doing the colors. But there's really nothing in progress to show you there, so I didn't bother pulling that project out. Okay, moving on. Next one. I like this one a lot. Hands-on design. Let's talk autumn. I love that. I do love typography, the look of it, and things like that. But I just didn't want to do it on black fabric. I really wanted to make the feeling of autumn come out. So the fabric I chose is from, sadly, a fabric dyer that does not dye fabric anymore. Look at that. This is 18 count Autumn Sunrise from Hand Dyed Happiness. I would say about May of 2020, when supply chain issues, especially for Aida, I don't get any of the other fabrics, but I remember there was a real big issue with Aida at that point. She put her shop on hold and then she never came back. I'm supremely sad because she's quite talented. I've stitched a few different things. Look at this piece of fabric. It's beautiful. I've stitched a bunch of different things, or some, with her fabrics, and she really had a great eye for dyeing. Now, I did change colors on this because what was being charted here didn't work, or some of them, DMC alternatives, or I think some people had shown some differences that they had used if they had stitched it on more of like a neutral. Several things, because this is a vibrant color. A lot of colors just don't look great on it. So I'm working on it, and this is why it kind of stalled, especially these leaves. I'm having a ton of trouble. And sadly, I did not write down what green I used. So I've been going through all my greens, and so far nothing matches. So I'm a little concerned. Oh, this is really bringing out the light, isn't it? I'm really concerned that I might have to change midstream again. But once I know, this is one that I do not know. Oh, there's a needle stuck in it. Once I know what I've changed it, I will give the information. But I don't know right now, so I apologize. That will be incomplete. But I love it. And I love the idea with these of using a color that brings out the season. Like if I did a winter, I would use some sort of blue, because that would just speak winter to me instead. Of course, then I'd have to change all the colors. All right, next. Let's see here. Okay, this is September of 2020, because I remember I started this in honor of my anniversary. It is technically, the stitching part is done, but the beading is not. So I kept it as a project not completed. It's Spells of Ireland, Nora Corbett. And my problem is that I have a question about, and this is why it's still kind of in limbo. It's an 18 count. This is 18 count vintage. It's not vintage. 18 count beach glass from Vintage Needlearts. It's a lovely, lovely, very subtle green. A light green. I wouldn't say necessarily mint, but light along those lines. Well, I changed the count. It's 18 count. And I don't know if the beads, I know beads size-wise really are dependent on what count you stitch on. So I have the beads. Whether or not, I have to see if they'll work. The other thing I've thought of, because I have several projects that I do need sparkly floss for. So I recently placed an order for some sparkly floss, I think, and I had this one in mind as well. And so I kind of went and looked at what the bead colors were and tried to pick up some. Whether or not it will show up, I'm not 100% sure, but it might enough, because there's a lot in this dress if I did one that really kind of showed a sparkle. So that's my dilemma on this one, why it's still technically not a completed, finished project yet. More to come on this. We'll see which way. I'll let you know when I decide. All right, next. Where are we here? Betsy's Autumn. Oh, I love this piece. And I've recently, oh, where's the pattern? Here it is. I've recently shown this one because I have been stitching on this. Betsy's Autumn from Plum Street Samplers. It's stitched on 18 count Honey Amber, and that's from Fabrics by Stephanie. I adore this piece. I will change. So far, I haven't changed anything, but some of the pumpkins, because it's charted in variegated floss. So some of the DMCs are more brown. Clearly, you know, sometimes you just use a chart, and I'm just not a fan of the brown pumpkins. Prairie Schooler does the same thing. Kind of drives me nuts a little bit. So I need to change out a few of them. Just the pumpkins. Everything else, the colors are just fine with. So that is where that one stands. And this one will be a piece that you will continue to see, I would say, as we go along with 2022. I think I've made the decision. This one, compared to Cinnamon Stars, which you'll see in a little bit, is going to get finished, get the work done first, and then I'll jump back to Cinnamon Stars. So that's Betsy's Autumn. I'm trying not to make this super, super long so that you'll get a chance to see a ton of project parades and get a chance to, you know, kind of, because these can be a lot of time invested in these of you watching. All right, next. This one, there's a dilemma with this one. Harvest Time Village from the Prairie Schooler. So here's the chart, and that's the piece right there. It's this top one. The problem is I'm not loving the Prairie Schooler colors. Now I have a decent amount invested in this. This is just an 18 count ivory, nothing major. There we go. Try not to show you shadows. It's very brown. The trees are very brown shades. The pumpkins are very brown shades. And I'm not loving it. So I don't know if I would continue with this. I love the little village pattern. I think it's so pretty. Do I want to rechart the colors? I don't know yet. So that is a dilemma, and that's a to be determined. If I don't decide to rechart it and restart it, I'm not sure this one will get finished. This one may end up being set aside as a I won't finish type of project. So we'll see. I don't know where this one's going. This was started in 2019, and it's one of the 2 projects that I brought back in 2020 to try to work on. But unfortunately, because I was frustrated with the colors, it didn't get brought back for very long, maybe a week or 2. And then I kind of had the same problem that I had the first time around and didn't exactly know what to do. This next one, I don't know why I didn't keep up with it. This is also one that was started in 2019, brought back in 2020, and then sadly it didn't get a lot of work on. Christmasland by Raise the Roof Designs. It's not the greatest of pictures, but it's a super cute pattern, and it's very quirky. The lines of like the fence and everything's just a little bit quirky, which I really liked about it. This was my foray into color. One of the first things. This is either Zweigart or I think it might be Zweigart. Their new name for this color is Mystic Gray. So that's where we are. And it's super cute, and I enjoy it. And I would keep it on this color. I think the colors show up nicely. So I'm okay. 18 count, I said. So I'm okay with that. That's not an issue. And I'm okay with the colors of the pattern. They're actually a lot brighter than when you see it right here. It's just a matter of bringing it back and working on it. I don't know, but I've had a thought floating around in the head that during 2022, pick 1 or 2 Christmas projects and try to have them try to work on them during a month out of the year and see what kind of progress you can make on them. Smaller pieces, I might get finishes. Bigger pieces, I'd at least just get a chunk of work done. And then it seems as Christmas gets closer, I have a tendency to want to work on the Christmas projects, so then it would get more work. This next one is a prime example of that, and I love this next one. Let's see here. I got to put it on the iPad. We can X out of that. Here we go. Stitchrovia. I love Stitchrovia. This one's called Christmas Town, and that's what it looks like. Isn't that beautiful? I had to show you the colors of that because the colors are so vibrant. They're so lovely. And a black and white would never show you that properly. That's what it looks like. This is 18 count white opal. So it's got the sparkle. I am purposely not, if you look at the pattern, you see where you see the white? That's stitched. I'm not stitching that. I'm going to keep it unstitched and just have the white opal shine through. So it'll look like some sparkling snow. And here, I didn't stitch this either. This is stitched in the pattern, but I thought I would keep the sparkle over here as well. So there's a few places where I'm kind of making a strategic decision to kind of keep it and let the fabric shine a little bit with the pattern, especially because it's winter and you want the sparkle to kind of be there. This one is a ton of color changes, and I definitely need to just really be careful with it. And that's part of, I think, why it comes and goes when I work on it, because I really need to be paying attention when I stitch on this one. I've had to pull out pieces a few different times. I know this tree I had miscounted and I had to rip that out. And I know there's other places too. So I'm a little bit, I can't necessarily, depending on where my mind is, always pull this one out. I have to be really deliberate when I pull this one out. So that is Christmastown from Stitchrovia. Ironically enough, and that takes me through 2020. That's all that I have still current from 2020. So between 2002, 2019, and 2020, I have 11 projects that need work. There are a couple, excuse me, that I have to make decisions about. Keep, restart, just let them go altogether. I don't know yet. But now we're moving into 2021. And ironically, the first piece I have to show you from 2021 is also from Stitchrovia. I started this in January. It was cold. I needed some warm weather vibes. And so I started on the beach. I love this pattern. Love, love, love this. Stitchrovia. And here it is. This is 18 count beach sand. Yes, beach sand from To Die For fabrics. So this is the first of many To Die For fabrics that you'll see. I love her work as well. There's quite a few hand dyers, and I will list them after all the projects if I have space, because I know you have a character limit. I will list my list of favorites for hand dyed fabrics. So if you're interested and you want to check them out, and she happens to be one of them. So that's where we are. This one's kind of nice because I can take chunks and I feel like I have little finishes. Now, that water. I want to say, Helen D again. Helen and I like to stitch similar patterns, except for the berries. She's way more talented at finishing than I am, so I don't know if I would ever attempt a berry. But I know she started from the bottom. She's working on this one as well. And I remember her saying that the water, there's a lot there. So we'll see when I get there how I'm feeling about this pattern. But it's a lot of fun up here because you just pick and choose, you know, all right, I'm going to do this umbrella, or I'm going to work on this person on their towel or whatever. So it's a lot of fun right now for that sense. So that's that. Okay. Oh, you know what? I don't think I had my bag with that one. All right, next. Next, I had decided to try something new. I'm still really intimidated by it, which is why it's barely gotten anything else done on it. This was an embroidery kit. And that's the designer right there of the pattern. And look at, isn't that pretty? Isn't that so pretty? So this came as a full kit. It included the fabric, the color and stitch guide, the DMC threads, and a needle. I didn't get very far. That's it. That's all I've gotten. I started with just straight stitching. And there's like a loopy thing that the bird is outlined in. I tried that. I failed at that. So I have to work on that. And I think that's why I kind of put this aside. But it is so, I love the colors. It's so bright and cheerful. So one of these days, this may get pulled out. If you're an expert in embroidery, let me know. I might be calling on you, phoning a friend, and trying to get some help on that. So that's that piece. I haven't given up on it. I'm not ready to give up on it. I'm just a bit intimidated by it. All right, now, moving on. Here we go. The next one was, oh, I got to change pages. Project Parade, page 2. This was my very first full coverage. It's from an Etsy store called Maxie's Patterns. She charts a lot of charts that are a bit more subdued colors. I am no good with art. I'm sure that's an area of art called something. I'm just not sure what it is. And so I've been, and I have several of them. I'll never get to them all, I'm sure. But I'm drawn to like kind of the landscapey ones with her. And this one's called Ocean Village 1. So that's what it looks like. Isn't that pretty? And again, you know me and ocean, beach, nautical, anything like that. So as my first full coverage, I was like, oh, I'll give that a try. So make sure I have this actually the right way facing. No, it's not bad. You're not seeing much though. You know, it's a lot of those kind of creamy colors. I think over here I started some blue. So it's just a matter, and I think I'm almost at the point where they start the stores. So that might be a bit more fun too. I mean, it's a lot of fabric. I have one of these magnetic things holding the extra because I stitch in hand, even the full coverage. So that's where we are. It needs work. And yet, what did I do but start a new full coverage on New Year's Day that you will see as my very last project. But anyway, that's my one of 3 full coverages that I've got going. And that was the first one I tried. Okay, next. This I consider a companion piece. It's not. I mean, I don't, it's never been called that by anybody but me, to Betsy's Autumn. And it's Plum Street Samplers Cinnamon Stars. I'm stitching this on the exact same fabric as many of you know. So it's 18 count Honey Amber by Fabrics by Stephanie. And that's where I am. Like Betsy's Autumn, the pumpkins are a bit of an issue. So I think what I will do is I will change the pumpkins in Betsy, and then I will use those 2 shades that I used in Betsy for the pumpkins here, so that they will kind of match in that sense. So that's where we are right now. And that's why I went this way, because I need to figure out the pumpkin situation down here. Because if you'll see, there's a whole row of them. So this one, I think will take a little break for a while. I think Betsy will get the attention for a little bit. I have to say, I know you shouldn't really, like your children, you shouldn't say you have a favorite, but I prefer Betsy to this one. I like this one, but I prefer Betsy. All right. Now, this next one, I have some color changes I have to make, which is why I've kind of put it aside, and you haven't seen it in quite some time. This is Autumn Avenue, and it is from, it's Little Stitch Girl, isn't it? I believe it's Little Stitch Girl. I'm surprised it doesn't say it right here. Oh, that's because my hands were covering it. Yes, Little Stitch Girl. Super cute. I love the colors. I love the fall vibe. I used an 18 count snert from Mystic Fabrics. I thought that really will show off the colors well. The white here that will signify, kind of the wind, that will be a bit more subtle. You can see it in person better than you can see it on the camera. But my dilemma here, and I think the colors are fine. She uses a lot of overdyed flosses, as you can tell by that orange house. The yellow house, you notice it a little bit, but not as much. The green, you don't notice it at all. I don't know if she's charted that in an overdyed or not. But do you see the trees too? They're very stripy, and that's an overdyed. So I need to decide what I want to change it to. So that kind of got there. And I don't think I would put the words. I don't think I'd put, "Hey there, pumpkin." I think I would keep it just without. So that's that one. So that one needs a little bit of color work and color ideas in order to come up with what I want. Sometimes I feel like, and designers don't have to, I suppose. It makes it more accessible to more people by adding the DMC alternatives because, overdyes are expensive. but sometimes I feel like it's just the generic chart, and that doesn't always fit the vibe of your piece, or it doesn't quite fit what your piece is showing with the variegated, you know? So sometimes it would be a little nicer if the thought was there of a better combo that would work, or a better color that would work. I don't know. Maybe I throw that out there and suggest it. And once you start doing that, you'll have an idea in your head. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I've used these colors. This DMC looks better than what the chart says, you know? But anyway, all right, next. Next is a digital. My iPad shuts off, so then I have to. This is Autumn Lane Stitchery, Autumn Town. I love those colors. It is gorgeous. What if I charted, and I've flirted with this idea. What if I take the colors from here and I use them for that Prairie Schooler Village piece that I'm tempted to just throw out the window? I mean, those colors are so vibrant, and how cool would that be with this? You'd have two totally different looking villages in how they're designed, but their color scheme would be kind of similar. It's a thought. I don't know. Maybe I'll go that route. Maybe not. Here we are. Actually, you know what? I can fold this side over because that is completely as far over as it goes horizontally. So that's it. This obviously has to come down a bit yet, but that's the width of it. 18 count, where are we? Fallen Leaf from To Dye For Fabrics. I love this color. I am using all the DMC alternatives. They do offer them. They use a variety of overdyed silks, the whole bit, as well as some DMCs, but this is all straight DMC. And I love the vibrant colors. I really enjoy stitching on this one. And again, it's also a piece that you can take little bits and say, oh, I've got a mini finish, and that feels great. And, you know, then we can move on. But we'll see. We'll see. So that's Autumn Town. Okay, where are we? Oh, goodness. We're just a little over half. I gotta speed it up here. The next one is from Hemlock and Rye Stitchery, and it is called Samhain in Salem. And that's what it looks like. Gorgeous. I love it. Now, this is the second of the houses of Julie's that I'm stitching. I did the Christmas ones. And with the Christmas ones, I put them together and they were connected by a fence. With this, what I will do is I don't think I'll use any words, but I'll keep the fence in front like it is, and I'll just have it go straight all the way across. Otherwise, I don't mess with Julie's colors. Julie is a designer that she really thinks about it when she gives you the alternatives from your overdyed. So I don't mess with her colors. I love what she does. So that's it. And you know, I'm just going to fold this over. This is going to be really pretty. This is a, what is this called? The exact name is Old Library Marble from Dove Stitch. So it's a printed fabric. But I only have this much done so far. That's it. Half of a house. Not even a half of a house. And I love the colors on this one, so I really do need to get back to this one. And there are, I think she's done spring and summer as well. I think all her houses are done. They're really pretty. I really like them. So that's that one. All right, next. Oh, this one's almost done. This one needs to just get finished. This is from Country Cottage Needleworks. It's called Surfside Cottage, but I am not stitching this part or the flowers up top. I'm literally just doing this section right here. So this is a goal to get finished sooner rather than later, because I really don't have that much. I have a boat and just down here, and that'll be done. So there's really no excuses on my part. 18 count natural blue topaz from To Dye For Fabrics. Really pretty color. I like this one a lot for summer. So that's it. You might be seeing this one in the future, near future. Not far future. Yes, you will, because I do. There's no excuse on that one. It needs a finish. Next. This is called The Nubble from By the Bay Needlearts. For those of you who are familiar with Maine, that is the Nubble Lighthouse. Years and years and years of family vacations in Ogunquit every year. we would take the kids over there. Sometimes we'd be there for a week in Nantucket. Sometimes multiple times we would go. The kids loved to climb the rocks, and I can't tell you how many pictures I have of that exact scene. So when I saw this, I said I have to stitch it. And there I am. This one, I didn't go fancy fabric-wise. I stayed with just 18 count white Aida. I think the colors are just going to show up really nicely. Obviously, it's the red of the house and the roofs that really come out with this one. And so I decided not to mess with it. So that's where we are with that one. Okay. Next one, I had started this in one color, and a month later I had started in the other. This is my color experiment, but I'm going to show you both now. This is called Summer in Nantucket from Plum Street Samplers. That's the original. Neither one of mine look like that. So I first started it in 18 count Summer Storm from To Die For Fabrics. And I loved it. I love it. I love that blue. But about a month later, I was like, for some reason, I got it in my head that I really wanted to do it in another different type of color scheme. So I pulled out 18 count Gilded from Mystic Fabrics, and that's that. And I mean, this is different vibes, different color scheme, totally different. And so what I am doing with this one is I stitch these literally. I feel like Janet. I love it. Janet Javer. She literally does something. I love it. You always make me chuckle when you say that, Janet. I am stitching these exactly the same time. So I will put a strand in here, then I do a strand in here, because I really want to keep them at the point where they will be exact the same. Because the whole idea is to play around with the base colors as the experiment. So that's what that one is. There will be a color change coming down the pike on one of the pieces on that. When I get to it, I'll talk about it. The pile's getting bigger on the floor. This next one, I thought I would love it a lot more. It's a small, so I'm going to finish it because I'm going to finish it. But I'm kind of disappointed that I just really didn't love it as much as I thought it would. It's Tales from the Sea, Fragments in Time. It's number 1, so whale. I don't know. I'm calling it whale tail. Do they call it that? I don't even know. Is that what I called it? I call it whale tail. Anyway, so that's what it looks like. It's small. I mean, there's no excuse why this one hasn't seen any more work. There it is. This is an 18 count cream from Dove Stitch, because there is not much that shows, just a little bit, and I thought that color showed it off well. So yeah, that's where that is, and it has stayed like that for ages. I'm not sure why. I like the look of it. I like the colors. It's a lot of fun. But for whatever reason, and I think I have a couple more from this series, so I have to make a decision. Do I love them more? Is there something about this that is not jazzing me to decide whether or not I start more? But I'm along on this, and I think it's cute, so it'll get done. But for whatever reason, I can't quite figure that one out, why it's sat there. The next one is the start of my second full coverage. Now this one, my first one, the Ocean Village, is not heavy confetti. It changes colors and there's change. So that was one thing I had to learn when I first started. This next one is heavy confetti. It's reminiscent of Amy Stewart's shelves because it's a shelf. It's called Christmas Tales. Excuse me. And that's what it looks like. So it's got all sorts of Christmassy type things. It's so much fun. I love it. And it's not as huge as some of the Heaven and Earths, but it is confetti heavy. And this pattern did not work with my iPad in iBooks, so I couldn't mark anything off. So I'm actually literally marking it off with a pencil on, a printed paper copy of it. Now that I have another way to do my stuff on the iPad, hopefully maybe this one will see more work because it might be a little bit easier, even though it's heavy confetti. And I have to make sure I'm showing you it. Yes, this is the right way, corner-wise. I love the look of it, but I got overwhelmed and bogged down with the confetti. So, overall, it's not going to be a small piece. It's big enough, I did give myself, I generally don't do a full 3 inches along each side with most of my projects because I'm just too cheap with my fabric. But with the full coverages, I did. This is just an 18 count. Oh, and this would be the same as the Ocean Village. White Aida, and I use Kato brand from Amazon that I have discovered. So it is a, you know, I mean, it's white Aida, so it's a bit stiff, but it's a little softer than some of your other traditional white Aidas. So that's why I liked it, because especially stitching in hand, I want to make sure with all the extra fabric that I can do it. But I don't even want to show you my back on this one because it is so confetti heavy. I needed a break, and I would like to get back to it. I just need to mentally prepare for that. So that's that. Okay, next. To go back this way so I can look at the next pattern. This is my first and only 20 count, but I decided to try 20 count because I wanted the size. This is called The Earth Laughs from Jan Hicks. How beautiful is that? That is gorgeous. It's my only Jan Hicks pattern. She has some really pretty ones in her store. And she charted this in Cosmo floss. She does have a DMC conversion, but I thought for the heck of it, Cosmo wasn't super expensive. I picked some up on Etsy, and that's what I'm doing. It's 20 count, so I am using 1 strand, which is new to me, so that takes me a little bit longer. But there we are. The colors are so pretty. I can't wait to get into the pinks and the magentas along with this. And there's a giant, gorgeous yellow flower right here. So now that we have kind of moved away from Christmas, I do see this one coming back out because it's definitely springy and flowery. And I discovered, you know, Needlebug has that tutorial on how to loop start a 1 strand of floss, which made all the difference to me. And so it made it more accessible and manageable. So I do want to get back to this one. All right. Next. This next one is a little tiny kit, so adorable. I jumped on it as soon as I saw it was available. This is from Artemis Designs, and it's Maryland Blue Crab. She has 2 in this series now. This is Chesapeake Bay Treasures #1. She has a second one, which I did jump on. But since this one is an 1/8 of the way done, I haven't started the other one yet. I believe this now, you can't get it as a kit, but you can get it as an individual pattern. The kit included hand-dyed fabric from Amanda May, right? Amanda May is Artist Designs. Silk floss that she had dyed as well, and some finishing materials. I went for it all. So this is the first time I'm using silk floss. The only time, to be honest with you. And that's all I've got. Excuse me. This one is 1 strand as well because that's what she suggested. And because obviously there's a limited amount of floss given to you, I don't want to mess that up. And this is an 18 count on really pretty fabric. The second one is done sort of in the same color schemes, but the fabric, you know, depending on where it's cut and how it's cut will be different. And I'm okay with that. They don't need to be matchy-matchy. The colors are the same though of the silk. So that'll be kind of cool. So that's where we are. Hasn't seen much work lately. That's another one with the summer, you know, kind of the summer vibe that I'd pull out then. Okay, next. This you see every week because I do concentrate on this one. I love this one. Gail Phillips and I started this. When did we start it, Gail? I don't have the list here. But we have a hashtag. It's hashtag Lady Halloween SAL if you would like to see or start. It's Lady Halloween from Jardin Privé. And that's what it looks like. And here we are. I don't even know which way to go. There we go. This is 18 count Smoky Amethyst from To Die For Fabrics. I am using 1 different color of DMC than is charted. There's 3 charted colors, and then her hair is done in a mixture of 2 different purple etoiles. And that's it there. Lady Halloween. I love this. I work on this every week. And I gotta tell you, I really enjoy it so much that I might just keep it as an every week project. It's my only project that definitely sees work every week. Others will get some and then they kind of get skipped a week. That one, I find a day where I just feel like I really want to work on it. All right, next. I haven't done this one in a little while. This one is Prairie Schoolers Revisited 2, and I am working on the 1989 Santa, which is this guy right here. I love these guys. I've already stitched him. Now working on him. And for my regular Flosstube and Stitchy friends, you know that this color is not a surprise to you. For anybody new, all of my Prairie Schoolers, I have jumped on doing them on one color, and that is 18 count Jade from Picture This Plus. And that's what he looks like. Isn't he fun? I don't know, for some reason, the light's showing a lot of shading. I apologize for that today. I don't usually have that problem during my regular floss tubes. Just a couple more weeks, then I'll be back in Delaware and have that big window right next to me. I think it should be okay. So give me a couple more weeks and then we'll be in a different location again. There we go. So that's what he looks like. I changed the color of his beard, made it more white than the cream, and I changed the colors in his face because the Prairie Schooler faces are so pink. But that should all be listed in the description if you're interested. So there's not a lot left in this guy. I mean, besides bordering down here, I'd be done. So he'll come back. He'll make an appearance again. Okay, next, you're going to see, a decent amount of little Christmassy ones because now we're coming up to the end of 2021 and I am on page 3. So we're almost there. We're on project number 30 of 37. So there you go. We Santa 2020. I love these guys. I believe I have 2019, but I started this guy first. I might even have 2021. I think I do actually. But I liked this guy. I loved his little pants, which I haven't gotten to yet. That's the part that I'm working on now. But here we go. This is 18 count Whimsical from Color and Cotton. It's a great blue for snow and wintry type things. Love it. I did change his face because, again, pink face syndrome. So we did do different with that. And I believe that's the only thing I've changed. And that's where that is. Okay. Almost there. So it'll be a little longer than my regular videos, which seem to be ticking towards 50 to 60 minutes, but hopefully not too much longer. Okay. Next one. Christmas Tree Farm from Prairie Schooler. I actually showed this last week with my video, I believe. I'm not stitching the border, and I'm going to change out the colors of the moon and the stars. Haven't gotten there yet, though. And here it is. This is, I don't know if I can stand this way and then tilt it this way. 18 count white opal. Another one that I wanted the snow to kind of jump out in. So that's what I'm doing with that. And so far, everything I've used color-wise is the Call for Colors. I love the 2 different shades of green. I'm really enjoying that part of it and stitching those different shapes and sizes of trees. All right, Christmas Tree Farm. All right, this one's another one close to a finish. Just have to buckle down and get it done. Oh, you know what? Let me show you the original. That is on the computer or on the iPad. Here we go. Candy Cane Lane from the Housewives. Stitching with the Housewives. And there it is. So I mean, honestly, not much more. Some stuff here. A little bit around here. I think I have to finish the house. I had to change the color of the words because the white was not showing up, and I changed the fabric. This is also 18 count Whimsical from Color and Cotton. So it kind of made me change this. The middle house here is a blue. That was changed as well because the called for didn't show up. So there are a decent number of changes in this one. But really, it should be finished soon. So that's another one that I have to kind of not bury. This next one, I am going to focus on a finish soon because I'm really enjoying this one. And I'm cutting out some of the pattern. It's from Cherry Hill Stitchery. It's called Merry Christmas, but I am not stitching any of that bottom part that says Merry Christmas. I'm just going to stitch from the snow up. And that way it could be a nice winter piece. It could go up at any time. If I ever finish these and then, put them up and everything else. That's always the question, right? But that's where it is. I love this gray. This is 18 count Chinchilla from Mystic Fabrics. And the colors look so good. I had to change the red and the green because she did not have DMC alternatives. I love the colors I chose, and I love how it shows up on this. So this one will be seen through the month of January. I think this one I may just say I have to work on every week until I get it finished because it's not that far. It really should only be a couple weeks, and that one can be done. So that's Merry Christmas. Okay. Next one is Green Christmas. It is from the Little Stitcher, and I am stitching this one up here. This was a restart. I had started this one in 2019 on Vintage Country Mocha. I haven't gotten rid of it because I like the pattern. I might stitch it in Vintage Country because the green will look really nice on that kind of mocha color. But I wanted to go a different route with this one, so I pulled out some 18 count icicle from Under the Sea Fabrics. So it's a very light pale purple. I love it. I love the green on it. And I have more than I thought I had to do. So I still have, I did end up finishing the candles, but each candle has a flame on it. I don't like the charted color for the flame. So I think I have some sparkly stuff coming that might be more like candle-ish, or I could use a toile. My toile is in Delaware, unfortunately, though. So if I end up deciding to go that route, this one will have to be put to the side till I get back to Delaware. Other than that, I finished the snow. I did get that done. I need to attach the ornaments. And then there is another border down here. It's charted in the green versus the brown. I want to make sure I'm reading that right. So I do want to check the pattern on that. The main color, picture on the website. But that'll go fast because it's just a repeating border. So we're close. But the one thing that might stop me is doing the little candle flames. We'll see. But this could be a stitching session, frankly. So that's really close to a finish. This one was started for Christmas Day in 2021, this past year. And it's a restart of a restart. And I finally found the color I like. Prairie Schooler, Christmas Eve. That's the pattern. And if this looks like very similar to Merry Christmas, it's because it is. It's the chinchilla. After doing the Merry Christmas and seeing those colors, which are very similar to the colors that Prairie Schooler has charted for this, I loved it. And so this is the same piece. I had cut off the piece for the Merry Christmas part. Santa doesn't have a face yet because I will redo the colors there as opposed to pink face Santa. That's probably the only thing I'll rechart for colors though. I do like the colors otherwise, and I think they really pop on this gray. So super excited to finally have found a color that I'm happy with and to get going on this one. Because for those of you who've been with me, you know my love of Santa flying his reindeer over a village. How many patterns do I have of that? A lot. So now I got to get started stitching them. This is the first one. This is my first Santa flying one. And that's that. Okay, two more and we're done. This next one, I'm not going to tell you the whole saga now. If you watch this past week's video, New Year's Eve video, you'll hear all about it. It has to involve my son and him having grand plans. That's all I'll say about that. I'll show you the original piece. It is from 2x2 Stitch Art. It's called Northern Lights. It's a full coverage piece. That's what it looks like right there. Because it's basically fully covered, and then, if it gets finished in some sort of hoop thing, I just chose white Aida for it. So this is 18 count white Aida. It is not the Kato. It is some other that I had. I don't like it as much as the Kato, but it's fine for this pattern. And that's what I have. It will not be finished in the 2 weeks time that it would need to be if you know the story. But alas, we'll just do the best we can. So that's called Northern Lights. It's really pretty. The colors, the blues and the greens and the shades are gorgeous. It's going to look really pretty when it's done. And then the very last one is a brand new start. I started it yesterday for New Year's. I had, if I'm doing full coverage, I have to try at least a Heaven and Earth, Of course, now I own 6 Heaven and Earths. most of which are minis. Actually, three minis, 3 full coverages, 3 regular size ones. I love the colors of this. This is Hidden Harbor, and the artist is Andy Russell. Look at the colors of that. I adore that so much. So when I saw that, I said, I have to stitch that. And there are swaths of color. So the confetti, now I'm sure down here the confetti will be heavier, but starting it, the confetti is not huge. And I was like, I like that idea. So there we go. That's my start. I know it doesn't look like much. I wanted more stitching time yesterday. I mean, it was a dreary, rainy, yucky kind of day, and I didn't get as much as I thought. But I mean, that's a decent start. If I counted stitches, it's approximately 500 stitches. I kind of did a quick look. I'm not stitching my full coverages, doing each square. I'm kind of like, I don't know if you'd call it cross country. I'm not doing diagonals. I'm not parking. I'm basically picking a color, stitching, and then going to another one or doing more of that color. I'm kind of just doing it the way I would do my regular patterns. 18 count white Aida, and this is the Kato. I've bought a few stashes of the Kato from Amazon. I'm really $18.99 for a yard, and that's what I'm planning on doing my full coverage pieces on. So that's where we are. And it is all shades of purples and periwinkles, and it's gorgeous. I love those colors. So I'm loving what I've got so far with that. So that's it. That's my very first Heaven and Earth, my 3rd full coverage, and the last piece you will see in this project parade. That's all I got. I think that's enough. I am not doing a no new starts for 2022. I don't like to restrict myself. It's a hobby. I love doing this. I keep it really low key. I don't make long-term big goals. I don't have goals for stitch counts or, you know, I know so many of you love Whip Go from Jessie Marie, and you know, if it works for you, that is awesome. I'm so happy that you found something that works. For me, I don't necessarily like to be constrained with that. I have to tell you, I flip through my projects a lot of times and I say, what do I feel like stitching on? That is exactly what happens in the morning, except for ones like Merry Christmas that is so close to a finish. So I'm going to tell myself, Laura, find a day in the week and stitch on it. Or Lady Halloween, which I absolutely adore. So 2022 will be a continuation of 2021. You will see a variety of projects whenever I feel like stitching them, however I feel like stitching them, without a lot of, you know, rules or constraints. It's just me going with the flow. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. I hope some of my projects inspired you maybe to stitch them, or hey, if you finished one and you really like how you finished it or whatever, I would love to see it. You know, whether you show me a DM or tell me it's on my Instagram, or if you want to send me a picture on my Gmail, I love it. I love when people send me pictures. I love seeing how other people have done it because we can get so much inspiration from each other. So feel free. And if you stitched during my project parade, let me know what you stitched on, and hopefully you got some good progress, because we hit the hour, we hit that full hour. So I guess that's about it. We are ending our kind of New Year's vacation type thing. Mo is back to work. I can't say he goes back to work because he works from home now. So he's still in the house, but he's working. So Mo is back to work tomorrow. So my life will get a little bit more even-keeled and organized. And then, you know, I have just a week and a half to a little bit more before the kids go back. Well, we think the kids go back to school. So far, the plan is then they still go back to school. And then it's just me and Shamrock. So anyway, I hope you got a lot of stitching done. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. You know, I worry about everybody, and I always want the best for each and every one of you. If you have any questions that I did not answer, please feel free to reach out. I do my best to give info and list. I'm hoping that I won't run out of characters. I think you have 5,000. So I'm hoping I have enough. If for some reason I don't, I'll figure out a way to make sure I get any info that you need or any info with it available, so that everything is just right at your fingertips if you need it. It's easy. I have everything listed. I cut and paste. I can type. So I have no problem giving info and providing anything I might have missed with you. So please feel free to reach out. And that's it. I'm going to get some stitching done today. It is Sunday, if I didn't mention that at the beginning. I'm starting something new, and it's a teeny tiny, so it may get finished. It may not, but it will be something that you will see on Friday's video. So I hope you will join me. If you're new, I hope you liked it, and you will continue to join me on the stitching journey. And everybody else, I will see you Friday. Until then, happy stitching.